Welcome back to Legally Whiskey. Today we're in Blanco, Texas at Milam Greene Whiskey. When you walk in and it feels part tasting room, part Texas Whiskey Clubhouse, you've got the certified Texas whiskey sign out front, the leather chairs, the bottle walls, the old school truck outside, and the shelves full of Milam Greene bottles staring at you like, pick one. Today we're going to take a look around and learn a little bit about what makes Milam Greene different, and of course taste through some whiskey. So grab a pour because we're starting right here in the heart of Texas Hill Country with a handshaking Milam Greene Bourbon Espresso Martini. Then Rick Monroe is going to explain what makes Milam Greene special.
It's about how we make whiskey here, and then kind of just about what we do in general. But the process starts behind you where that big white grain sack is. Most distilleries have a mill on site where they're like milling their grain, but we don't have a ton of space and it's a dusty endeavor to mill your own grain. So we're lucky enough that our suppliers mill it for us, and then it comes to us in these super sacks. And so the process starts there. So the corn will be fed in first, and it goes through the system in these pipes and then down into the mash tank. And so we'll fill it with water first, start heating it up, and then the corn goes in. And we'll cook the corn to 180 degrees Fahrenheit or so for about a half hour. And then that process is called gelatinization. You're swelling the starch molecules in the corn and getting them ready to convert into sugar. And so the second step is small grain. We're unique because we use malted rye, where most bourbon distilleries are using raw rye. Since the rye is malted, we'll add the rye and the barley at the same time.
And why do we use malted rye?
So we started using malted rye because we were worried about rye on its own is a very spice forward grain, and so we were a little concerned with, as hot as it is out here, the climate driving too much of that spice forward flavor in the finished product. And so we decided to go with malted rye because it softens that spiciness and it adds more of a chocolatey malted milk ball character. And we stuck with it. It worked, and it makes us unique. We were one of the first distilleries in the U.S. to use malted rye, and so it adds a unique character to our whiskey that gives us our flavor profile.
It's very sweet. It is a sweet mash, so there's no backset or anything that goes into it for a sour mash. So it's great to stick your finger in it and give it a taste. It's fabulous.
Yeah. So we'll end up with about 20% sugar, fermentable sugar in the mash, and then we transfer it into one of these two coats over here, or fermentation tanks. We can start walking.
Yeah, we can mosey back this way.
So this is where we'll pitch the yeast, and we use two different yeast strains. So one of them, they're both traditional bourbon yeast strains, but we like the flavor we get out of combining the two. This one's a little more spice forward, one's a little floral. And so fermentation is really quick. It takes about 72 hours. And we'll end up with about 10% alcohol off of that 20% sugar. And so when it's done fermenting, we'll pump it into the big still over here. All right, so this is a newer still for us. We installed it in 2022. And prior to that, we were running everything through the little one, so it was a big step up for us to get this guy put in, and it really streamlined a lot of our processes. But we call this our stripping still, and Marlene affectionately refers to it as...
Tell the story. tell the story. So we named our stills. So we originally started out with the 300 gallon, and we originally started out as Ben Milam whiskey, and so it was only fitting that this is Ben. So we named this one Ben, and we knew since that was a guy's name, this one was going to be a lady's name. And so we searched and hunted for names and run through a bunch, and went through history, whiskey history, Scotch history. It just didn't have a name that just really was like, yeah, that's it. So Marsha always referred to us as a bunch of rebels. We do things a little bit different, like the malted rye Rick is talking about. The sweet mash, a variety of things, and as rebels. And so I got to thinking about Texas history. And so Barbara Jordan, everybody knows who Barbara Jordan is. Back in the 70s, was a rebel. She was a first. So that's part of the name. Ann Richards. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that would have been the first female president had, and things turned out differently for her. So they were both rebels. So this is Barbara Ann.
Woo! Love it.
Barbara Ann. We love Barbara Ann.
She's a beaut.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
From the production plant, we were then able to go to the barrel houses, where we were able to see where Milam Greene's Texas aged whiskey is stored. Here we heard from Marsha Milam about the brand history and information about how they started. We then had the experience of actually thieving from a single barrel, a Texas 7.5 year aged Texas single barrel. Amazing, truly amazing. Then we went back to the production area to do our own 3 cask blend, a Texas 7 year, a Kentucky 4.5 year, and a Kentucky 8 year, in which we were able to make a custom blend on our own. This really was, and truly, an amazing experience. Milam & Greene opened up the red carpet for us. I highly encourage anyone and everyone to go visit.